Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Design and a Half. Today's episode is rather special because we got Black Friday upcoming in this weekend, at least for us here in Romania. So I thought about actually making an episode that is basically targeted at how Black Friday is usually marketed towards us, towards the consumers, and especially considering it's Black Friday. I thought about talking a little about something I'm really keen on talking about, and that is fear of missing out. For me, this is really an important topic just because I've seen it misused in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, and it's super prevalent, especially if you're talking about commerce, e-commerce, and basically online sales. It's been super successfully used in gaming industry. It's basically absolutely everywhere that you want to push out digital and hardware products, especially basically any type of product that you can think about. It could be sort of pushed for us as consumers through the use of FOMO, or fear of missing out. But let's talk a little bit about FOMO and what it actually is. So the fear of missing out basically is a mechanism that we as people have that triggers us to instinctively act whenever something is in scarce quantity or in a small supply, which means that basically our brain is triggered each time we see something that we really want to buy, for example a phone. And this is basically what's tying it to the whole Black Friday phenomenon. we see two or three phones that are really cheap, and we say, oh man, I really want to buy this stuff. Why? Well, because we might need it, or because we think it's nice and we want to replace our old phone, whatever the case may be. The whole thing about FOMO is that it basically grips on you, and it tells you you really gotta buy this stuff. Like you really gotta buy it now, just because it's going to run out like soon, very soon. And the way people act is they instinctively buy it, even if they don't necessarily need it. It's more of an instinct trigger, and it's one of those sort of neuromarketing techniques that are being used in a pretty, I would say, unfair way towards the consumers. And what really happens basically when Black Friday comes up is that you have like two or three products which are really cheap. People come in, they sort of want to buy those products, but those products are long gone, or they were never in that big of a supply in the beginning. And what it basically creates is this feeling of vacuum inside you as a consumer, and you're thinking, oh man, I just wanted that thing, but I really want to sort of satisfy my thirst for buying something. And what ends up happening is that you go onto that website, you log in, and you see, oh, this is out of stock. Crap. Well, what can I do? I'm going to buy the next thing. Why? Because you're sort of trying to fulfill a gap inside. The one left by the product you originally wanted to buy. And this is actually what's driving the whole Black Friday phenomenon, especially in some parts of the world, in some countries. Because, for example, as I've seen in America, for example, and correct me if this is not true, there, as far as I've seen, prices actually do get slashed quite a bit. Especially on Amazon and other sort of sales places like Walmart, and basically everywhere that's wholesale and that offers huge amounts of products, if you want. Getting back to our thing though, like here, what ends up happening is that people just put like two or three items in stock for a specific type of product, and what happens is that when you log in and you see that product is absolutely gone, it's not there anymore, you're going to try and find the next best thing that you actually want to do. And there's a good amount of research that suggests that people do this quite often, And I'm going to actually link one of those articles, if I can actually find it and if I can remember where the heck it is, in the description of this video. If not, I'm probably going to make another video on this topic some other time. Anyways, in gaming, for example, FOMO is used a lot and super aggressively, especially in games which are really popular, for example, like Destiny 2 or World of Warcraft. You have these limited time events when things go, and you can actually acquire either armor, decorations, whatever it is that you want to get, special items. And those items actually are there for 1 or 2 months or something like that. And when the events stop, those items disappear, or they are no longer available for the general public. However, what actually ends up happening is that those items are just being vaulted temporarily. And this is something that's being used as a technique super often in mobile gaming as well. So you take content, you basically you put in new content as limited time. People flock in, they consume a lot of content, they spend a lot of time playing or doing stuff within your application activity, what it is. And after some time, that thing goes away. It's being put into a vault, and what it gets advertised is that actually you're never going to see that thing again, which is actually false. And why it's false is because if you consider the fact that absolutely any type of piece of content that's being added into a game is done so with a lot of effort and a lot of development time, it makes zero freaking sense to do something for 2 or 3 weeks and then just scrap it all together. So that's never happening. What actually happens is that it gets vaulted and it probably gets shown again after a period of 1, 2, or 3 months, something like that. It actually depends on the situation, on the game, on the policy the people in marketing decided they want to enforce for that specific application or game. And basically the same thing happens in online retail sales for absolutely anything you can think of. You have limited time vodka, limited type and time type of I don't know, shoes, cars, whatever it is. Those things are meant to drive sales. They're just a temporary solution that people want to spend a lot of money and effort for in order to drive sales for a specific amount of time, so that if you come over there and see, okay, this car is no longer here, this vodka is no longer available, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy the next best thing. In case of a car, if something is not available anymore because it was sort of in limited supply or in limited format, that's also because it was addressed to a specific type of user and consumer, not necessarily for the general public. But that's basically a different topic, because cars are sort of different in that respect, same as other physical products. But in sales, basically what happens is that these are used as a sort of tool to force you to buy more stuff, not necessarily some stuff that you need, but stuff because it sort of generates sales. And what ends up happening is that in the beginning, Black Friday was thought out as a way to clear out stock in preparation for Christmas. Why? Because Christmas is the biggest holiday sale ever that you can actually think of. And during the Christmas season, a lot of companies actually move more product and sell more product than they did throughout the year. Why? Because it's when gifting happens, and not only gifting, it's also the end of the fiscal year in a lot of countries, which means that whatever cash you still have left, you need to spend it like fast, because it will be part of the calculations for the incoming year, and it gets sort of built into the taxes and so on. It's more of an accounting thing, and that's why a lot of people use it quite often to sort of get rid of old stock, either move a lot of products at the same time, get rid of all stock, or just try to influence consumers' minds to buy more product in general. And that's why Black Friday is sort of this whole hysteria, especially lately, where people flock together to just buy a lot of stuff they don't necessarily need. And then what ends up happening is that 2 or 3 or 5 weeks later, you just see random Craigslist or public advertising boards where people sell stuff that they just bought for Black Friday. Because this is more or less sort of a business deal for both the consumer, in the sense that there's small resellers among the consumers, as well as the actual retailers themselves. So there's a sub-market between the normal market, the consumption market. There's a sub-market, the black market, if you will, which deals in stuff like this. Is not necessarily regulated, but people do this because they want to make a quick buck, and because they want to turn a really quick profit. Because if you think about it, if you buy a TV for 30% off during Black Friday and you roll it off for a normal price, you basically have that 30% profit in your pocket as your own profit, if you will. And that's what's driving people to do this so often. And FOMO is fear of missing out is really interesting, in the sense that it's being more and more used for a lot of stuff, but sometimes it's very subtle, you can't really tell, and other times it's incredibly ostentatious and in your face. Whenever you have like Steam summer sales, and a lot of developers are slicing prices with maybe 10, 20 or 30% off from their products just to drive sales very aggressively. In the end, what ends up happening is that they take a smaller cut, but having sold for a bigger audience, it means that they're compensating for the normal price by having a 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5-fold sales number. And probably this sort of warrants sales discussion or a discussion about sales on a completely different sort of episode in itself, because that's a huge discussion and it deserves a lot of attention, kind of, if you think about it, because it's not necessarily a small topic to cover, and it's really important. And considering that sales also influences design in a lot of ways, I think it's worthy to mention in that respect. Okay, what else would there be about FOMO? Let me think. FOMO is basically very, very widely used in a lot of ways, and I think lately it has been super aggressively abused by a lot of people for moving product and selling very aggressively, and I think this is sort of starting to become the norm now. Like, you have a limited time 30% off. In some situations, actually, that price is the normal sales price, and some people actually bump it up for a period of time just before instituting this limited time off. And what ends up happening is that you can actually end up buying the product by its normal sales value, not the inflated one, which is rest of the time. Udemy uses this quite a lot, and generally speaking, Domestika, Udemy, all of these smaller types of online class platforms tend to use FOMO quite a lot, especially for their classes and for their discounts, because you have stuff like, well, for this and this and this, you have 20% off of your purchase, and you think, okay, this could be like a good deal. But then you see like 5 or 6 and 7 other courses when you're browsing through the website, and then you're thinking, wait a minute, Are these things actually limited and limited time, or is this just a regular thing for them? Because whenever you're logging into Udemy or Domestika or any other of these online classes and courses, you see a lot of you see a lot of discounts basically all the time, and you're thinking, well, if these guys are always in discount mode, what's the normal price like? And you see stuff like 199 slashed to $10. Like, what the heck? That how does that thing even work? And this is when you ask, this is basically the time when you ask yourself, is this actually fear of missing out, or is this badly done marketing? Because if you think about it, that course is never worth $200, not in a million years. And the person that's selling that course knows this very well. And there are certain times of the year when you actually log into Udemy and Domestika and you see those courses at $200 and so on. That's the actual moment when they are putting out the normal prices, so in order to hike up interest for those courses, and you end up saving them. And this is how they actually catch you, by either promoting them more aggressively and basically putting them in your face, or just seeing whatever it is that you have in favorites and sort of promoting those ones. Okay guys, this is basically it about FOMO. I sort of got most of the important parts that I wanted to touch on. If you have any questions with regards to this subject, please leave a comment below. I'll be happy to reply in whatever way I can and with whatever information I have at hand. Subscribe and like if you haven't done so. If you like and enjoy the content, obviously. If not, you don't need to. Your viewership is just enough for me. That being said, I wish you an amazing rest of the week and talk to you next time. Bye bye, guys.